What's up, guys? How we doing? Happy Tuesday. So, quick question. Do you guys like this suit? So, funny story. Colleen and I are going through security yesterday, and we get our bags, and she goes, "Honey." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Where's your suit?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's still in the closet at home." So, shout out to my man, Jared Erickson. Hadn't left on his flight yet. Called him. Went over to my house, broke into my house, basically. Stole a pair of socks while he was at it, and brought this suit. So let's give it up for Jared Erickson. Mr. Silver Cup winner, getting me my suit today. All right. I feel like we blinked, and we're at NET25. It was like we were here, and then we're in Dallas. So we have an action-packed 2 days. We have an action-packed first session. So I'm going to just jump right in. So today we're talking about what the highest performance looks like and some of the behind the scenes of what it actually breaks down. So when we think of the names like the Curtis JQs, the Josh Mullers, the Matt Graveses, the Cutco Mikes, the Brandon Browns, the Rob Robincheks, the Chelsea Rodriguezes, I'm curious, what are some words that you think of when you think of these people? Shout them out. Consistency. Programs. Discipline. That's a good one. Great. So, first off, eventually when there's like a Cutco events like Mount Rushmore in like Olean somewhere, we're probably going to build that, Mr. Stitt, wherever you are. Eventually when that happens, and the big, huge mountains that exist in New York for sure, I think that those names are going to be on it. So when I think of those people, I think of words like discipline, work ethic, abundance, gratitude, leadership. Those are the words that I think of. So I know over the last couple years, my messages at NET have kind of been more on like the kind of inspirational side, #restrictor plates, shout out Stringer and Dom. So today I would hope that my goal today is to inspire you guys, but my goal today is to empower you guys with some lessons to help you guys identify some of the things that some of the highest performers in our business, what they've done year after year to achieve the levels that they've achieved. So I don't know about you guys, but when I see numbers like $1.5 million from Rob Robinchek or a $300,000 December from Matt Graves, that like just piques my curiosity to see how that actually happens and how those numbers come together. So what I did is I actually reached out to these people to get some details, and I think this will be beneficial for everyone to see. And I asked them essentially to recap either 2024 or their best year ever and how it broke down. And I'm excited to, again, hear from all of these people this week or this next day and a half. And I'm just going to boost their egos a little bit this morning and do a little gloating for them. Be warned that the numbers that I'm about to show you over the course of the next 15, 20 minutes are provocative. It gets the people going, okay? All right, so first off, Mr. Brandon Brown. Anybody Brandon Brown fan of this place? All right. Okay, first off, I want you to just look at that average order. That is just incredible, right? With all of the numbers, by the way, right? If you think about how many phone orders you take in a year, we're still working on trying to figure out how to get that average order on the phone for the person that calls to buy a paring knife up to $1,000. We all have areas of opportunity, but if you calculate all of those things in there, right? Still, that average order is amazing. And I also want you to notice the service event number, which Brandon has consistently led the entire community over the last couple years with some intentionality. So it's not possible to narrow down the lessons that these people that I'm going to share about today have taught us and really do them true justice, but I'm going to do my best today. So Brandon is the systems guy. Okay, who here has ever heard Brandon talk about systems, right? It's not an accident that Brandon sells what he sells every year. So you've heard the quote a million times, we don't rise to the level of your goals, but we fall to the level of our systems. James Clear. So Brandon understands the compounding effect of systems within the business. So this is a cool fact. In year one, guys, when Brandon sold $1 million in 2019, he was in the booth 220 days out of 365 days. Okay, it's a lot. In 2022, his best year ever, which we're quoting here, okay, he did 1.15 million, and he was behind the booth for only 157 days. Okay, so for those math people out there, that's 63 less days in the booth. And he sold more than he did in 2019. So what Brandon talks about is we have to identify the layers within our businesses. So we have events, we have service events, we have appointments, we have marketing, we have business gifts, and lastly, we have organization and our time management, right? So some quick fire things that Brandon says to focus on, right, within our businesses to grow it is you have to hyper focus on each system to figure out what you can do to grow it. So if you think about events, focus on your skill set, focus on your scripts, right? If you don't have the average order you want, get better at your scripts. Also improve your energy management. Steve-O talks about how I'm always saying I'm cutting deals. I'm like notorious. And Brian still gives me a hard time. He's like, I've never seen that actually like turn into an actual sale. But it's creating energy around the booth that I'm at that creates people that just want to hang out with us and maybe buy some kitchen stuff in the process, right? At service events, get some cheeks in seats, right? The more cheeks you got in seats, the more opportunities you got to sell. That's it. Right? So Brandon talks about how can you improve your efficiency to get more people in front of you at your service events. Within your marketing, right? Brandon talks about how important it is to make sure that you guys are working on what's actually working with your marketing and what's not, right? So don't be afraid to look at what's happening with your emails, your texts, what's getting good responses, and improve every month and every year. Within your business gift layer, just have the discipline to just ask every single person every single time, right? And lastly, with your time management, how often are you getting distracted every single day? How many times, I don't know if you guys have ever looked at like the little thing that says screen time. It actually tells you how many times you've picked up your phone. It's a scary number for a lot of you, right? So how often are you getting distracted throughout the day, and how can you work towards better efficiency? Okay? Mr. Rob Robincheck, some of these numbers are just hard to even grasp. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. 241 business gift orders is the thing that I think I'm most impressed with on this slide. 241 different people that owned a business purchased orders, right? But keep in mind, he still had an extra 1,000 orders outside of the business gift orders. So I think obviously it takes up a big portion of his sales, right? He sold $1.1 million in business and realtor, right? But he still ripped out $262,000 and over $70,000 through service events, and he still sold $90,000 over the phone through just past customers and sales, okay? I love that Rob is a big believer in don't overcomplicate something simple, okay? Keep it simple, stupid, as Mr. Michael Scott likes to say. So where Rob is, who here has ever heard Rob talk about the 8 questions that to ask every business gift owner, okay? We're gonna hear some business gift stuff later, but Rob doesn't do anything crazy. He's just disciplined in asking those questions when he's in front of a business owner every single time. That's it. I don't think anybody in this room could actually tell me that after every single business interaction last year, they actually got all of the information that they're supposed to get from those 8 questions that Rob asks. And it is not an accident that Rob sold more business gifts than anybody else in the company last year. Right? He's told you once, he'll tell you again. When he started doing business gifts and he made it his focus, he created 8 hours every single week back in 2017, and he didn't stray from that. I think if every single person in this room actually spent 5 hours of time on their business gift layer, they would probably double the amount of business gifts they sold from last year to this year, if they actually did the thing that they said they were going to do. Right? So ask every single customer every single time and be intentional about setting up your meetings directly on the spot. That's Rob's thing. Okay? Mr. Curtis. Also, these numbers are just ridiculous. Any Curtis fans in the house? Curtis is an animal. I truly believe that Curtis is like the honey badger of Cutco. Like, just nobody outworks Curtis. Look at the number of orders. For those math people, that's just under 10 orders every single day of the year, if you were to average it out, okay? Okay, so I know that Curtis is the honey badger just because look at the number of in-home, like the CPO number between in-home and demos. $231,000 in demos and service calls. Nobody else that is selling $750,000 plus, guys, is doing that. Okay? So one of my favorite things that Curtis has talked about in his lessons, lean into service. I love that Dave just mentioned this in this message. Service, we are in a service-based industry, and I think that can get lost. The reason people buy Cutco is not just because they're sharp. They buy it because we say that we are backing it up with an epic guarantee that is, bar none, best in class. That's why people are buying it. So you guys all know that we're in that service-based industry, but it can be forgotten. But remember, Curtis talks about how profitable the service industry aspect of our business is. People are literally buying because of the seeds that we plant during service, right? During service, we have the ability to let things grow. And for those of you that have done service events or done service calls, I don't know about you guys with a past customer especially, man, the vibes are just different on those appointments. There's connection already. The vibes are just incredible because they've already got rapport with you. You're just shooting stuff and selling more cucko to them, right? There's just still so much less pressure. But Curtis talks about how important it is to lock in during your service appointments. I think it gets lost on us how, oh, we got a day of service events. Oh my God, I've got 7 appointments. Maybe hopefully 6 show up, but I just got to get through the day so I can pack up and tear down and get out of here. What would it look like if you actually took the intention with every single customer to meet them with high energy, to meet them with excitement, not just, oh, I got to sharpen some more knives. I think that could literally, overnight, change the scape of where your guys' service aspect sales-wise is in your business. If you just brought that excitement, right? Think about your first time sharpening knives for somebody ever, right? Your first service call. You were probably so nervous, but you were probably so excited. You're like, oh my God, I'm sharpening knives. I hope I don't screw up. Now you know how to sharpen them, but meet every single customer with excitement that you're doing them something that they are going to appreciate for another 2 to 3 years, right? And also remember, guys, with service, you guys have the ability to get better at your scripts during this time. This is the place, by the way, with your past customers that already trust you, to just try something new when you're selling cookware. Try something new when you're showing an upgrade, right? Try something new by setting up your booth a little differently to see if it sticks. That's your time to experiment and have fun with it. Don't be afraid to do that with service. All right, Chelsea Rodriguez. Got some Chelsea fans? These numbers are epic because she's a full-time mom now too. Okay, I want you guys to look at just the balance throughout her different layers is incredible. And also the amount of CPO she created in blue shears, because that's just epic, right? She created $7,000 in income for all those diapers for Adeline last year off blue shears, okay? Okay, so again, Chelsea has been hyper-intentional with, again, the understanding that family was going to happen, and I think a lot of the people in this room have some excitement around building family someday. So for those of you that want to build a family and also build an epic business, pay attention to Chelsea and how she's done it, okay? She has put the work in, right? Chelsea, her lessons are so vast, it's hard to narrow it down, but Chelsea is the epitome of the calendar is king. How true are you to your calendar? We were actually just at our kickoff conference in Central, and we had a rep that asked us, how do you know what goes into your calendar? And it's a really good question, because I think a lot of people kind of suffer from calendar fatigue. They're like, what goes in, what goes out? If you had me or any of these other high-performing reps look at your calendar, right, I could basically tell you whether or not you're being efficient or disciplined within your business. For those of you that are like, man, I just really wish I was working out consistently. What was the last time you had the gym in your calendar 4 times in a week? I bet for those of you who said that was last week. I did that last week. I bet you went all 4 times because it was in your calendar, right? Chelsea just talks about how important it is that everything goes into the calendar. Everything, right? It doesn't matter if it's when you wake up, when you go to the gym, when you're making breakfast, when you have client calls, when you have customer calls, when you have realtor calls, whatever it is in your business that you're focusing on, everything is in your calendar. Right? A lot of people think that Chelsea, especially when she sold $1 million, guys, she just worked all the time. Chelsea, when she sold $1 million, guys, took 3 months off. She sold $1 million in 9 months. And it was all intentional. Roger can tell you. It was not an accident when Chelsea went out and sold $1 million. I had the opportunity to be with Chelsea during the last couple months of the year in Germany. We were ride or dies for 2 weeks, and she was going through it, right? We still had $200,000 left to sell, right, ish, but she was in it. She knew it was going to happen, right? There were some tears. Pretty sure I cried with you, Chelsea. It was awesome, right? But it's, again, she put it in the calendar, and she stayed true to her calendar. So she trusted it, right? She knew that the work was going to happen because Chelsea's a person that just stays true to what she says she's going to do, right? And don't be afraid to put the fun things in first, is what Chelsea says, right? Put the fun things in first so you're just excited about when you have to go to work, okay? So you have to ask yourself, how true to your word are you? Right? I would challenge all of you on a scale of 1 to 10. Put it in your notes right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 means I never do anything I say I'm going to do. 10 is I do everything I say I'm going to do. Right? What is that for you? Mr. Mike Dowd. Mike is not here today with us. He has some family stuff that came up. But there is only one Mike Dowd. And I always thought that Mike Dowd was the unicorn of Cutco. I was like, dude, there's no way that you can replicate what Mike does. And there will never be another Cutco Mike Dowd. There just isn't going to be another Cutco Mike. However, the lessons that Mike has taught us over the course of the last decade are applicable to literally everybody. Mike talks about building a brand and how important it is to build that brand. So ask yourself, what is it that customers love about you? Right? Write that down. What is it that customers love about you? Is it the jokes? I just never stop with the jokes. Seth and I crack them all the time because people love them. But that's in our personality, right? If you have dry humor, or you're just a great storyteller, or your energy is great, whatever it is about you, write that down, right? It's like, why does a customer randomly bring in caramels or cookies at a service event, right? Mike just cares about his customers, right? He's goofy, he loves laughing, he loves taking videos, he loves taking selfies with everybody, for those of you that have worked with Mike or field trained with Mike, right? But it's like, man, a customer comes to the Des Moines Home and Garden Show or the Iowa State Fair, it's like it's on the checklist to go buy Cutco from Cutco Mike and get a selfie. It's incredible, right? I got to see this on the most grand scale this summer when John Rulin passed away. For those of you that know Mike a little bit, Mike and John were very close, right? Best friends. And again, for a hot second, we didn't even know if Mike was going to make it to the event because of the funeral. And it was just insane. I think Mike cried with more customers than any of us will cry with in our entire career selling Cutco. It was authentic, it was genuine, and it was wild. He sold $130,000, guys, in 8 days. And he averaged 28 orders a day. 28 orders a day. That's a brand, right? Mike leans into the brand, so lean into your brand. What is it? If you don't have a brand, figure it out. Just start with something, right? It doesn't matter if it's perfect. You don't have to master it. Do something that makes you unique and lean into that, okay? Mike has written over 18,000 thank you cards since COVID. 18,000, okay? That marketing number, $250,000 around Facebook, around social media, is not an accident. Also, look at that number of freaking orders, right? He had $1 million year again while having 4 kids. Back to back to back to back years, okay? So, Mike always remembers, don't be afraid to put a Band-Aid, a business card, and a referral card in each and every single thank you note. Great way to grow your business, okay? Couple left. Mr. Matt Graves, okay? This slide is a tank just like Matt Graves is in the gym. Dude, it's unbelievable how much weight Matt can put above his head and not crumble apart. It's unbelievable. Okay, so all of this is intentional, okay? I love how consistent this is within all of the different layers. Matt doubled his business gift sales from this year in 2023 to 2024, okay? Matt is the big believer. You have to be hyper-intentional around your business plan, right? If you don't know where you're at, you're never gonna get to where you go, or where you wanna go, excuse me. So you have to get serious about the details and where is your CPO actually coming from. He talks about how important it is to get a level of clarity around the CPO that is in your business and where it's going to come from. So when you're going through your plan, you can check in on yourself if you fall a little bit behind, right? We talk about this, Matt talks about how important it is to have a business plan, but a business plan can be perfect, but if you don't act on it, no business plan is ever gonna work out, right? So what I love about how important the clarity is, when you get super clear on where the CPO comes from, guys, naturally that brings a focus to average order. And Matt has been a person that has led the charge, along with Luciano and Brandon over the course of the last few years, on hyper-intentionality around your average order. So it's like, I know that when you are focusing on mastery around your average order and just mastery around your scripts, I know that when Matt first started in the events business, he was probably just like me and you guys. I'm just trying to figure out how to get a person to say yes. Like, just give me your credit card for anything. It could be a trimmer. I'll take anything, right? But over the course of the last decade, right, Matt has been so intentional with his scripts. Now he is just naturally having more conversations where he is closing people on $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 packages. And he doesn't get nervous when a person's like, yeah, I think I'd actually be interested in maybe the knife set and the flatware. A lot of people panic, right? But Matt just has those conversations so frequently now because he's a master of his scripts. Don't expect to get and become a master of your scripts within the first couple months. A lot of people are like, cool, I'm gonna focus on new customer for a couple months. It's like, no, Matt's been focusing on it for 10 years. And that's why his average order at traditional events last year, guys, was $1,500. And he still took more orders than most of you. It's not an accident because Matt is intentional, okay? All right, Josh Muller. this number is ridiculous. Look at the total past customer business. $762,000. It's so much money from past customers only. It's incredible. So one of the things that I love about Josh, who loves Josh? Give a little round of applause, Josh. You're the guy, Josh, wherever you are. I don't know where you are, but you're the guy, dude. Love you. He has so many different lessons that he has taught all of us over the years. We have so much to thank Josh for, but specifically when it comes to high performance in this business, he's talked a couple things specifically that has really moved the needle for him as he has grown his business significantly over the course of the last decade, right? And those two things are compelling goal sharing and the power of gratitude, okay? Josh talks about the understanding, how we need to understand how important it is for us to understand what our goal is and why we are going for it, right? You have to understand why you're going for what you're going to truly enroll a customer in what you're doing. The goal doesn't matter, by the way. It doesn't matter if it's $1 million. Doesn't matter if it's $100,000, guys. The goal doesn't matter. But what does matter is you communicating to your customer on why you are super committed to hitting that goal. It could be buying a house. It could be paying off loans. It literally can be anything. So if you haven't yet for 2025, write it down. Why are you selling the Cutco knives that you're selling? Why is your goal $500,000? Why is it $300,000? Why is it $1 million? Why is it $2 million? Why is it the number that it is? Because remember, guys, people get bought in to this arbitrary purchase of kitchen knives when it's bigger than themselves. Guys, they're buying pans. They're buying flatware. It's epic, but that's what they're doing. This isn't life-changing stuff that it's like, cool. I mean, their day is going to be completely ruined if they don't have Cutco. I mean, we're a little biased. I think it would be. But the point being is that get them tied into something bigger than themselves, and they're going to be excited to buy more, right? And also at the end of the day, I love how your goal sharing just naturally brings in gratitude. It's so important that as we talk about our goals, don't be afraid to slow the conversation down when you're talking to a customer about just being appreciative of what they're purchasing. It doesn't matter if it's a paring knife, and it doesn't matter if it's $20,000 with 7-inch Santokus. It doesn't matter. Share your gratitude on why what they're doing and purchasing helps you live the life that you live. We literally wouldn't have the opportunity that we have without the people that are buying $50 or $20,000. We just don't. So Josh talks about how important it is to share that gratitude with people. Like Josh literally all the time, I get to work with him for a few days out of the year every year in Texas, and he literally has customers apologizing for being like, I'm sorry, Josh, I can't buy more. That is incredible. And Josh is like, it's okay, Mrs. Jones. We can get you the other Ultimate next year. It's okay. Right? All right. Lastly, just to share my own numbers, just so you have an idea of what the $1 million year broke down to. I absolutely took a step back last year, Steve-O. Thanks for the shout out on that. It was a great year. $750,000 was awesome. Hashtag got engaged. Love you, Colleen. All right. So how this year broke down, I just want to, again, a couple things to mention on this slide specifically is, again, the amount of past customer business that I created after, again, being in the events business for about a decade, which just leans into marketing and being hyper intentional with making sure you're staying in touch with your customers, right? And share your goal with every single customer, especially if they're your past customer, guys. Share the heck out of your goal. It gets people bought in, okay? So to put a bow on the lessons, okay, on all of these humans, if I were to isolate one lesson that I've learned, right, and also have learned from a lot of the people that I mentioned today, that is helped me increase my performance over time, is that there are so many people that are talented. So many people in this world that are talented, but they never commit to the high level of performance that they're capable of. You could be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't apply that talent and do the work you're supposed to do, nothing's ever going to come of it. So I'll say this. When you commit, the hard goes away. When you commit, the hard goes away. I was actually at our year-end banquet last week with Dane Espegard, who's the #1 DVM in the company, right? He sold over $1 million more than the next closest DVM last year. And he's doing a dry 6 months. And he started in January. And he was about to go to Cabo with a bunch of 18 to 25-year-olds at an all-inclusive, all-you-can-drink resort, right? So for most people, they'd be like, oh, man, that's a great reason or opportunity for me to quit. So I said, how's it going? He goes, oh, it's easy. It's easy. I'm like, oh, awesome. And he goes, where I struggle is when I say, oh, I'm going to cut back a little bit on this. right? So for my Star Wars fans, Kelly, Coco, inside joke, Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. So get clear on what that goal is and make the decision to go for it. Nobody's going to care if you hit it or not. Nobody cares except the person you're looking at in the mirror every single morning. You are the person that has to look yourself in the mirror every morning and say, either I did what I said I was going to do, or I didn't do what I said I was going to do. That's it. Doesn't matter if your goal is $1 million and you sell 500 grand. Good for you for giving it a shot. Nobody cares what you actually end up doing. But the difference between these high performers and, again, the rest of the Cutco community is they're just the most consistent and most true to what they say they are going to do. That's the difference. So the most difficult thing about selling $1 million, guys, is literally just committing to the decision, to just go for it. Remember, I had this conversation with Colleen in November of 22. She's like, either do it or don't. I'm like, okay, let's do it, right? So to summarize, the overarching lessons for all of you. Trust the process, put in the work. Don't be afraid to put in the work. The 45 people that are here that have been to NET 10 years, man, oh man, has it been gritty. I guarantee you there have been some stories over the last 10 years. Customer acquisition has to be at the forefront of your mind. You are not above selling a single sheath. You are not above it. Ever. Spend time in your areas of strength. Where are you most efficient in your sales process and how can you spend that time? How can you spend more time in that area? In all of your areas, at the end of the day, getting better at handling objections allows you to maximize your efficiency. Get intentional with your scripts and your service. Those are your key movers that are able to immediately impact where your CPO is coming from. Maximize your Cutco owners, share the heck out of your goals. Get better at family program, cookware, flatware, and upgrades. And just ask every single person if they own a business. Just do it. So with that, guys, let's create an epic 2025. Let's just make it an epic year we never forget. Thank you so much.